All right. So, hello, everyone. Welcome to the Inspired Women Inspire Women series. Like I say every time, I am super excited about this morning's guest. It's somebody that I think is probably the best human being on the planet. I'm super biased, I think, because I know her personally, but legitimately, um, you are a heart with legs. And I think that is the best way to describe you
That's
because
so sweet.
honestly, I mean, if you want to talk about an inspiring woman, you are the epitome of an inspiring woman. So, um, first and foremost, I'm Melissa Gratz. I am the host of our series, and I am proud to bring to you today Maggie Hensley. Uh, Maggie, tell us, who are you? And good morning.
Good morning. I would say first, like on my list of who I am, is I'm a mom first. Like that is my heart and soul is my kids. I'm a foster parent. I'm an adoptive parent. I'm an advocate. I'm a hope dealer. I put Scentsy fairly low on my list of who I am because I use it as a vessel. It's not who I am. It doesn't run my life. I use it as kind of a springboard into helping me give back to the community. It helps, my family. But I would say first and foremost, I'm a wife and a mom. Yeah, that's kind of who I am.
That's who you are. So, how long have you been with Scentsy? Just to kind of give people an idea.
9.5 years. So I joined in February of 2012. And I didn't even own a bar of wax or a warmer before I joined. Like I literally went in blind. I have always loved fragrance. It has been part of my life since I was very, very little. My nanny, she's my grandma. She always gave us stuff that smelled good. Always. Like there's very distinct smells that I remember from my childhood and always from her. She loved little tiny little knickknacks. Everything always had, like I said, a smell to it. So it's just kind of a thread that's been woven through my whole life. And so it was natural that I joined Scentsy, that I was drawn to it, but I knew nothing about it. I had never been part of any other companies before. I was a stay-at-home mom, like literally at home. We had one car at the time. So I was at home with my two very young children at the time, and just decided to join. I had no idea what I was going to do with it, who I was going to sell to. I didn't know how you made money. I didn't know about trips. Like I literally went in blind, and it's the best thing I've ever done.
Yeah, I can relate to that. So many of us can relate to that. And I think that's a common story too, is that those of us that have been with Scentsy for a long time, we've never done another company. We've never dabbled in direct sales or multi-level marketing. That's really our industry that Scentsy is in. So we've kind of found a place here and stayed.
Mm-hmm.
And later on, I would ask you why you stay here, but it might fit perfectly right now. Why do you stay with Scentsy? You said it doesn't define who you are. It's not the very first thing that you lead with, but it's a part of you. It's a part of your family's story.
Yeah.
What keeps you here?
Scentsy is home for me. All of my very closest friends are part of Scentsy. Scentsy has shown me that the world is so much bigger than what's inside my front door. It's given me a voice. It's taught me that what I have to say actually matters. And I would say like my mission within Scentsy is to show people that it doesn't matter what you've done or what's been done to you. You're not defined by your circumstances. And Scentsy has proven that to me. Scentsy is what has helped me prove to myself that I can do whatever I set my mind to. And it's helped me prove everybody wrong about everything that's ever been said about me. When I first joined Scentsy, I really wanted to just blend into the wall. Like I didn't want people to see me. I got pregnant with my first son, Deacon, when I was 19. And I grew up in a super religious home. And when my parents found out that I had gotten pregnant before I was married, they literally abandoned me. Didn't talk to me for months and months and months. I was told that I had ruined my life, that I would never make it, that I didn't deserve to be Deacon's mom, that Scott and I would never make it. And I've literally proved all of them wrong. But because of the way that I was treated in that season of my life, I thought that if people saw me, that they would leave, that they wouldn't want to be part of my life. So the fact that I joined a company that was going to put me out there was a huge shock to myself, to Scott, to some of my closest friends that I had been really honest about, with my life and my circumstances. But it changed everything. Like I said, I wanted to blend into the wall. I didn't want people to see me because I thought that they wouldn't like me if they saw who I was and where I had been. And it's wrong. Like, all of that is wrong, but I didn't know that at the time because I hadn't been shown that. So honestly, that's kind of why I stay, is because it's changed everything for me. And if I can help somebody else find that same path or inspire somebody by having them, kind of watch where I've been and where I'm going, then great. But, it just has become such a huge fiber within my life and in, my family's story, from top to bottom, really.
Yeah. Well, you far from blend in these days.
Yeah.
You have, blending in isn't anything I would use to describe you.
No.
I remember one of the first times, if it wasn't the first time that I met you, forgive me, but I remember one of the first times that I met you. And I think you were different. I think you, not in a bad way, but I think that through Scentsy and your journey in life, and all of the things that you are, I think you've really grown into who you are today.
Yeah, big time.
And you are a confident, strong woman. Strong is like, that describes you, strong. But you really have. And would you say that Scentsy has contributed to that even in a small way, your growth, personal development?
100%. Because like I said, I really didn't think that my voice mattered at all. And I think a lot of that has to do with how I grew up. Like the fact that you just said that I'm strong and you used it in an empowering way, and it, as like something that's a good attribute about me, was used to beat me down when I was younger. It was not a good thing to be strong. I was to be seen and not heard, fit in a box, toe the line. And that's not at all who I am at all. But I was told that I was wrong. And so I grew up thinking that everything about me was wrong. And Scentsy has helped to show me that nothing about me is wrong. It's helped me take all of those good things about me and use them to just propel me forward and my family forward and help other people to see that those things are not wrong about them either. I'm an Enneagram 8. And when I first realized that I was horrified, because all of those attributes of Enneagram 8s were things that were told to me that are wrong about me, that are bad about me, but they're not. Like, my family is the way that we are and has been built the way that it's been built because I'm a fighter, because I'm strong, because I'm an advocate, because I feel passionately about justice and about, the way that things should be. But I didn't always feel that way about myself. I really grew up thinking that there was some everything about me was very wrong and that I needed to change everything to blend in with other people. And that's just not true.
Was there
Scentsy showed me that.
Sorry about that.
Was
there the specific moment you can recall where you're like, I'm overcoming this. I'm not going to be a product of my circumstances?
Honestly, I think it's that same reunion that I met you, I think helped shape that. Because I do very specifically remember meeting you, because I went back to my hotel room with Callahan. So just for people that weren't there, which is like everybody, I remember I was with Christy, my upline, and we were on like this terrace at the hotel for reunion. And I had Callahan, who is now 7. He was like 6 weeks old at the time. And I was in just a really hard place with my business at that time because, since I used to have the other brands and I was huge within Grace Adele, one of the top consultants. And when Grace Adele was no more, I felt like the rug had been ripped out from underneath me. I feel like my best friend had died. It was really hard. And I've never been someone that I'm strong. I don't know that I would say that I'm loud necessarily. I try to let my life speak for me and not be someone who's like loud in a negative way with a negative connotation, if that makes sense. So I don't want to necessarily, I've never wanted to be known for being loud in a bad way, but I wanted to be known for the things that I had done and my accomplishments. And Grace Adele was what I thought was going to get me there. But when Grace Adele went away, I felt like I did too. And I felt like I had become invisible again. And I had worked so hard to get there. And I remember when I met you and I was introduced to you, you said, "You're the Grace Adele girl, aren't you?" And I don't know that I can list maybe a couple other moments in my Scentsy journey where I felt as seen as I did in that moment. Like that meant a lot to me, that you actually saw me and remembered me. And I felt like that part of me had just disappeared. And I had gone into that reunion really, really angry and bitter. And it took that reunion to make me realize that Grace Adele is not what built my business or me. And I was not a one-hit wonder. And I was not going to let that bump in the road take me down, because everybody who said that I would never make it or that I wouldn't be anything beyond Grace Adele, I was not going to let them be right. Like, I think that's a huge thing for me is, not being determined by my circumstances or not letting other people be right about their opinions about me, and call that stubborn, whatever. But I think that reunion really lit a fire under me. And I turned that anger and that hurt into something more so that I could prove everybody wrong, prove myself wrong, because there was a point where I was like, is this the end for me? Or am I more than this? Am I going to overcome this and push through it? And I did. So I'd say that moment probably.
And fragrance brought you to this business, and then Grace Adele kind of took you on a path, and then you had to come back to fragrance. Not that you ever really left fragrance, but you had to come back to fragrance and kind of make that mind shift that you were, okay, I'm committing to Scentsy, I'm staying. But in all of that, you experienced such growth. Growth.
Yeah, I had to fight my way back. Like, I really had to claw my way back to where I was and put myself in a different trajectory. And that's part of this business, is adjusting your sales and starting over sometimes, and knowing that, like, when you hit a speed bump or a wall or whatever, you just have to pivot. And so many people don't. And I remember at Summit this year, actually, I looked at Allison Dalkey, and I don't remember even what prompted this, but I just looked at her and I said, what if we would have quit the first time it got hard? And she was like, I think about that all the time. And so many people do. It gets hard and they quit. And I think the difference between someone that makes this a huge fiber in their story and someone that maybe it's just a season is not quitting when it gets hard the first time, because it's going to get hard, really hard, more than once.
We try things all the time and it works or it doesn't. And it's okay, back the car up, or and let's try this way. And I mean, how many different times have we tried different things? And realistically, the basics have remained the same. It's us that gets in our own way. We let negative thoughts or we let rejection get in our way and stop us. And I love that you said, what if we would have quit the first time? I can't even imagine. I mean, I'm a lifer. This has changed my life, not just because of fragrance and being able to share that. It has changed my life. I have grown into who I am, much to what you said. I mean, the development is never ending. So backtracking a second, do you have a relationship with your parents today?
I do. It's very different. They're amazing grandparents. I struggle with the parent-child relationship. quite a bit, but I will say that my relationship with my mom specifically has made me the mom that I am today. I can count on one hand the number of times I ever remember hearing my mom say that she loved me. And I know in her own right that she does, but that's not something that I ever had from her growing up. And like, there's not a day that I don't look my kids in the eye and tell them that I love them. They know that I love them. Even this little guy who is not a permanent part of our family, like he knows that I love him. And so it's a very different kind of relationship. I'm not close with my parents, I wouldn't say, but they're amazing grandparents, and I'm thankful that my kids have them. But it was hard for a really long time, but lots of counseling and just knowing what they're capable of in my life and with my kids has changed a lot. So that's been helpful.
How long did it take for them to come around with Deacon?
My dad actually was supportive from the beginning. He was in a really hard place. So his mom, my nanny that I referenced earlier, she had him when she was 16. She was an unwed teen mom. And so, he has some life experience there. And he said from day one, like, I love you and I'm proud of you. Like, and I was an adult. I had moved away for college. I had my own apartment. I had my own car. I was working full-time. I was in school full-time. Like, I was very much an adult. And Scott has never wavered once. I mean, he's incredible. He's been there from day one. There was never a question of like whether or not we were going to do this together, whether we were a family. We knew even before finding out that we were pregnant with Deacon that this was forever. So my dad was supportive from day one, but my mom just couldn't handle it. She didn't talk to me for about 7 months of my pregnancy, wouldn't let me come home, wouldn't let me talk to my younger siblings. And I reached a point with my dad where I said, I know that you love me and I know that you are going to help me or support, you're supportive, whatever, however you want to say it. But mom's either got to get it together or you're never going to see me again. Like, I'm just not going to do this. You're not going to do this to my child the way that, it's been done to me my whole life. So, I just said, I'm coming home, and she can either decide that she wants to be part of this or it's the last time you'll ever see me. And I went home and it was as if nothing ever happened. There's never been a conversation about it. Never an apology, never an acknowledgement. And it's interesting because Deacon is almost 12 now. So he's well aware. He can do math. He's seen himself in our wedding pictures. Like he knows. But he doesn't know that part of it. And it's going to break my heart to have to tell him that someday, because he will find out about, how everything transpired. But nothing has ever made me more proud than being his mom. So
tell us how you built your family.
So I have 3 biological children, Deacon, Bennett, and Callahan. They are 11, 10, and 7. And then our youngest 2, we adopted through foster care. So we adopted them in December of 2019 after a really long, hard foster care journey. Adoption's always been something that I wanted to do. It's been part of my life for as long as I can remember. I have friends that were adopted. I dated other people that were adopted or had it as part of their family. Like, it just is something that was natural to me. And so I was very upfront, like when Scott and I first met, I want to have, biological children and I want to adopt. How that was going to unfold, I didn't know, but fast forward, we started working with a teen mom ministry, and we actually hosted a mom who was pregnant at the time, and she lived with us throughout her pregnancy. And we're still very, very, very close with her. She's still very much part of our family. Her sweet little Nico, he's one of our little bonus babies. They're over here all the time. And through that experience, we just realized that we wanted to foster. And, it was really hard, really, really hard. The hardest thing I've ever done. Our Aiden, who is 5 now, he just turned 5 this week. We actually fostered him from 8 to 18 months. And then he was returned to his biological mom. And then he and our youngest, Banner, were removed when Banner was just a couple weeks old. He was severely abused and was removed at 2 weeks. And we had to fight really hard to get them back. It was messy, very, very messy. I actually left reunion in Anaheim because I got a phone call that they had been brought back into care and had been hidden from us. And so flew home, hired a lawyer, and we fought like hell to get them back. And they did eventually come home and were together again. And then we adopted them about 1.5 years later.
At the same time, you got both of them.
Same time.
And they are biological brothers.
They have the same biological mother, different biological fathers. So, yes, they're brothers. And we got Aiden back first. And then a few weeks later, we got Banner, and they were finally able to be back together again. And then we did adopt them at the same time on the same day.
Tell me what it felt like when you brought them home and they were yours.
It was like just a huge sigh of relief to be able to show their faces on my social media, to have their names announced with our last name at the end. And just to know that like we were done. Like I literally felt like I could just take my armor off because it was such a battle for their safety. And, foster care is not about adoption. But we had a reunification that epically failed. And it literally was life or death at that point to get them together with us safe and permanently. And actually Scentsy is how we were able to do that. When I came home from Anaheim and hired a lawyer, it's very, very, very expensive. Like our journey costs more than 2 international adoptions with all of our lawyer fees. And we didn't know how we were going to do it, honestly, at that time. And every single month Scentsy provided exactly how much we needed to pay our lawyer to fight for our boys. So when I say it's a vessel, that's what I mean. And my family would not be what it is today without my Scentsy business. I worked so hard for so long. And during that season, I knew exactly why I had built that solid foundation, because Scentsy didn't get put on the back burner necessarily, but I needed to be fully available for my kids to help them with their healing journey, with the really hard, all the foster care stuff. I mean, caseworkers in and out, therapists in and out, court visits. I mean, it's a lot. And Scentsy was really the constant for me during that season when everything was so up in the air. I knew that I could rely on my customers and my team and the foundation that I had built. And that's how we were able to fight for them the way that we were. Otherwise, I don't know. Honestly, I don't even want to think about where they'd be if we weren't able to do that.
You saved their lives. You saved their lives, you and Scott. It's pretty incredible. And I think it takes a very special person to be able to put yourself into a fostering situation. I've always kind of, and forgive me for being a little candid about it, but I've always said, I don't think I could even foster an animal because I would end up with a farm.
Yeah.
I can't imagine once I take ownership of somebody's care, I would have a really hard time relinquishing that. And I think it takes an incredible amount of emotional awareness to be able to put yourself into that. And I think your story has contributed to the work that you've done. I remember sitting down with you and you talking to me about the Teen Mom Ministry.
Mm-hmm.
Can you expand on that just a smidge? Because I found that I was so impacted and inspired by the things that you have done through that. Can you speak to that for a second? Yeah.
So we don't work with them anymore. Just to be upfront about that. They played a huge part in the trauma that my children suffered. So we actually knew their biological mom was part of the Teen Mom Ministry. We got Aiden just as like a babysitting situation. And so we no longer work with the ministry. They do amazing things, but there is a line between helping and hurting, and you have to make sure that you are on the right side of that line. But Scott and I were sitting in church one day, and our pastor talked about this ministry, and I literally felt the entire room just go silent. And I looked at Scott and I said, this is why we're here. Like, this is what we're supposed to do. Because had my circumstances or our circumstances been different when we got pregnant with Deacon, I don't know what I would have done. Because had I been an actual, like in high school and gotten pregnant, my mom would have kicked me out. I would have had nowhere to go. I would have had no help. And that is the situation that so many teen parents find themselves in, or they're just stuck in these cycles. And it's just so hard to break through a generational cycle. It is so hard. And we started getting involved. We were leaders for a long time. I went to camp with these girls. We actually bought this house. We sold our first house, bought this one because it has like a mother-in-law suite, with the purpose of hosting a teen mom at some point. I just knew that at some point there would be a mama that would need a safe place to go, whether temporarily or permanently, whether with or without a baby. And I wanted to be able to provide that. I really had the heart for that, because I knew that my life could have looked very different. My situation could have looked very different. And so Nev had that exact situation happen to her. She found herself pregnant. Her mom kicked her out. She desperately wanted to keep her baby and to parent. And she lived with us for about 8 months. She was able to get a job. She got her license. She graduated from high school. And really and truly, I just wanted to be able to be a support for somebody and to believe in them when they're with us on Christmas morning, birthdays. I mean, she's been in our family pictures, like very, very much part of our family. And so, yeah, I hate that it breaks my heart that not everybody has the same resources that I did when I found myself pregnant before I was ready. And, I really wanted to be part of keeping a family together. And that's why we got into foster care too. I mean, that was our heart behind it. It's not how it ended up in the end for our boys, but sometimes you just need someone to believe in you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And that's what I wanted to be for somebody else.
So you're still fostering because you have a little guy
yep.
with you.
Mm-hmm.
And, is it something that you and Scott plan to continue to do? Or that's kind of unknown because you kind of don't know you're called to do this. It's not like you're like, okay, this is the last one, or we're going to do this forever. You're just kind of, that's my understanding of it. You feel called to situations and if the opportunity presented itself, would you expand your family more because of fostering? Or do you think have you had the conversation that?
We've had that conversation quite a bit because I would have 17 children. Like, I don't really have a line of like, we can't have any more. At this point, because, so, Banner's biological father passed away in March. He was in an accident. And so now we have Aiden's biological father and then both of their biological mom. And so they're all very young, and there could be a time where there's a sibling that would need a place to go. And we would always say yes to siblings, to family. And it is not out of not loving this little guy or any other foster child that would come into our home, but our first priority would be siblings, as far as adoption would go. But honestly, I have no idea. I could never have told you that our life would look like it does today. So I don't know, but we took a break from fostering for a little bit after we adopted the boys. We jumped into, the boys have a cousin that was in care for a while. So we jumped into helping, with that case. We're still very much connected to the foster care world, but I think now that just the way that I'm built, now that I know the need and I've been in the middle of it, I don't think I could ever walk away from it fully. And whether that's, just our buddy drive that we do as our team every year, or taking temporary, placements like what we have with this little guy, or coming alongside, a family that kind of needs support so that they can be reunited. I think we'll always be in the world of foster care in some way, shape, or form. I don't know what that's going to look like forever, but I don't think I could ever fully walk away from it.
Well, and now those of you that don't know Maggie, you know exactly why I say that she is seriously one of the most incredible people I've ever been graced to come in contact with. So flipping the script to something a little bit lighter.
Yeah.
Thank you. And thank you. And I don't mean lighter in a disrespectful manner. So
no, I know.
So I kind of giggle because you are going to be eaten out of house and home. You have 5 boys.
Yeah.
And has that already started? Because I have one boy and he locks himself in the pantry.
I have one that does that. I'll find him like sitting on the top shelf of the pantry. Yep. We call him Snacks Banner. He's just a savage little baby. Like he's feral. Yes, they 100% eat me out of house and home. I have a Costco cart started this morning. It's horrendous. Monthly, we spend quite a bit of money. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So thank you for Scentsy and and what does Scott do?
So Scott he's actually about to be promoted to partner, which is super exciting, but he works for a marketing consultant firm. He's right now working 2 weeks in London and 1 week here for a little bit, which is insane because his company just won a huge account with Mercedes. Wow. So they do, I don't even know like all the things that they do. Ask a lot of questions. So yeah, that's what he does.
And yet tell us, I know the answer to this, but I'm going to phrase it in a way like I don't. Is he supportive of your Scentsy business?
Oh yeah, big time. I don't know that I would say he always was because he didn't always get it. Sure. I think that's normal. Like, I think that's very normal for there to be some speculation. Not really sure what's going to happen, but I've literally taken him all over the world with Scentsy. And so a few years ago during our foster care journey, he actually did an international MBA at University of North Carolina. So he would go there once a month for a weekend. And then they had 5 different international trips. So there were 6 different schools all over the world. And then they would kind of swap campuses and everybody would kind of go around and like see all the different places. And he actually, in his interview for this school, talked about Scentsy and about my business and about how my hard work taking him to all these different places in the world, having lived in the same place his whole life, never traveling, opened his eyes to what a big place the world is. And so that's why he wanted an international MBA. That's why he wants to work in the international pieces of his company, is because of Scentsy and what we've been able to see and do. Because we were like 6 feet from a pride of lions in South Africa. Remember that?
I know.
Like, who gets to say that they did that? It's bananas. Now, Scott does not help me with my business is mine, mm-hmm. and not in a bad way, but his business is very demanding, and he helps me with like deliveries, or if I need help, like unboxing stuff or whatever, like he's very helpful in like the small details, and he's incredibly supportive whenever I need to travel, like whenever we do retreats or we have summit, that kind of thing. Always super supportive, never ever has really pushed back on it or anything like that. Very, very thankful for that because we're a team. He doesn't watch my kids. They are his children too. So that's being a parent. And it breaks my heart when other people struggle with that within their relationships, mm-hmm. because I don't have that at home, and I'm very thankful. But he is incredibly supportive. Like when I promoted to superstar director, he did the most. Like had yard signs put out in our yard when I woke up the next morning, took me like to the nicest restaurant in Dallas. He bought me these beautiful flowers. Like he's very proud of me and of what we've done, you know, with this business. And he's incredibly supportive. My biggest cheerleader. Absolutely. Again, he doesn't really work the business with me. I don't know that I want him to.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like my goal is not to retire my husband at all, because I need him to still go to work and like not be in my business all the time. I'm very independent, like fiercely independent. So him being gone for days, weeks at a time, other than when we have double practices and I need help getting a kid somewhere, I really do function very well on my own because I'm very independent. Yeah. So
do you have a nanny?
So we have incredible babysitters, not like a scheduled nanny, but they've been babysitting for us since my now 10-year-old was a baby. So very much part of our family, have tons of support, which is super helpful. But like my kids they're not in daycare. Banner goes to preschool 3 days a week. The other boys are in elementary school. Totally nothing wrong with that. That's just not what I wanted for our family. I wanted to be home with them, wanted to pick them up from school every day. I want to sit here and snuggle this baby all day. So my life looks different than a lot of other leaders, which is fine. That's how I want it to be. And there's nothing wrong with the way that other people run their families or their lives. But that's just kind of how we do it around here.
And do you have an assistant for your business?
I did. For a little bit. I desperately need to hire another one, especially if this international move ends up going through. It will be a non-negotiable. I had an amazing assistant, and then she wanted to homeschool her kiddos, which obviously that needs to be top priority. And I just haven't hired anybody else, but I will tell you, I'm a minimalist when it comes to my business. I do not work 8 hours a day. I have been able to, through like the foster care journey and then through not having an assistant anymore, I really have pared down the things that I do. Only income producing things. I only do things that I've seen direct results from, that I can kind of handle on my own. I really try to keep it very, very simple and duplicatable, because I never want someone to look at what I do and be like, I don't ever want to be part of that.
Yeah. And actually, I more so asked you those questions because some people will say I'm too busy.
Oh, yeah.
And there is no such that you can. There is always somebody a heck of a lot busier than you are making things happen.
I would love to see someone more busy than me.
Yeah, I can't imagine. You shared the kids' sports schedule. I
mean,
oh
my gosh, yes.
I mean, I've seen what it looks like. And if you had 3 of you, I don't know that it would even be enough.
No.
But you've also, if I can make the correlation between the way that you worked Grace Adele and the Grace Adele girl, you found a way to work your Scentsy business that fit into your life. And that's why now you're the Scentsy Club girl.
Yeah.
I mean, and Scentsy Club is so cohesive with your lifestyle and everything that you've told us, because when you've focused to build that, so you have business coming in every month, every 2 months, every 3 months. And if you chose, I think what I'm trying to outline is if you choose one avenue to be really good at and it works, build that.
Yep.
You don't have to be the event, fundraiser, home party, basket party. You don't have to be the expert at all those things. Find what fits into your life. Find what you have the time for, those income producing activities, and make that happen. So I love that you said you are a minimalist with your business. You don't work 8 hours a day. You are at the top of the company. In fact, you are many times one of the top 100 consultants globally, which anybody that says I'm too busy I would like to present to you Exhibit A. Because top 100 globally multiple times, and yet you have found a way to work smarter, not harder.
Yeah, that's my life motto.
Smarter, not harder.
Mhm.
All right. Do you have a favorite word?
A favorite word?
Yep.
I say bless a lot.
Bless.
Like, oh, bless. And I do that so that I don't swear all the time. That's kind of like my mom's swear word.
Yeah. Oh, bless.
But so I think I probably say that the most, but yeah.
Yeah. What about
probably.
the most fun word in the English language that you think of? Yeah. And if you don't like that question, what about favorite quote besides work smarter, not harder?
My favorite quote. I think it's from Rick Warren. What's it called? Your greatest hurts will become your life's ministry. It's something like that. Hold on, I can find it because it's in my favorites on my photos.
That, boy, that connects with you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, here it is. Other people are going to find healing in your wounds. Your greatest life messages and your most effective ministry will come out of your deepest hurts. That's it.
That fits you.
Yep.
That fits you. Do you have a family motto or anything that you say to your kids? They don't leave the house unless you say, obviously you said, I love you. And I think that is so important. I don't conform to, there's too many times to tell your kids that you love them.
Yeah.
But do you have a family motto or something that you say to your kids and do you mind sharing?
No. So we actually have two different places in our home where we have this concept. One is above our kitchen table and it says where everyone has a seat at the table. And then in our living room, we have a sign and that is our family motto. It says, when you have more than you need, build a longer table, not a higher fence. So in our house, we build longer tables, not higher fences. There is always an extra seat at the table. We can always pull up a chair. We have way more than we could ever need, ever. And so whether through foster care or, helping with other needs in the area, like we're always trying to give more than we take and pull up extra chairs at our table.
Yeah. So tell me things that you love. Just throw them at me. Just ramble.
Things that I love. I love flowers, any kind of flowers, but hydrangeas are my favorite. I love butterflies. I love birds. If you put a bird on it, I'm going to buy it. I love birds. Yeah. I love horses. Love horses. That's like my favorite smell is the smell of a barn. I know it's poop, but it's still one of my favorite smells. I love babies, like always. I think I'll always want a baby, which is why I think foster care is suiting for me. What else do I love? I love the beach. I love pizza. You can feed me pizza every day. And a margarita on Fridays.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. Yep. That's what I love.
I love it because I love asking that question because so often as women, we wear so many different hats and we have to be so much for so many people that at the end of the day, you fall onto the couch and you're like, there is nothing left for me today. I have nothing left to give. And I think that when you're able to pull from the back of your mind to the front, the things that you love, the things that we love make us happy. Yeah. And it's important that we remind ourselves some of the places where our happiness comes from.
Yep.
So thank you for sharing that love list with us. I think it's important to do that from time to time and just reflect on what is it that makes up me? What is it that makes me tick? And what is it that brings me back to center? Not that it's pizza, but maybe, because we have to eat. But what brings me back to center so that I can be centered for those that need me? And so if Scott came to you tonight and said, or today, this afternoon, Scott came to you and said, Me and the boys are perfect. We're good. We're good for the weekend. Forget that it's Halloween weekend. I wouldn't do this. I won't do this to you on a Halloween weekend, but he comes to you and says, we've got everything taken care of and there's a suitcase set out and I want you to pack it and you can go anywhere in the world. You're going away for the weekend. Where do you go and what do you do? And you are alone.
I'd probably go to like a beach resort that has a spa, and I'd take a couple books and I would literally like read by myself all weekend. I love to just lose myself in a book. That's kind of how I like process things and kind of check out a little bit. But that's probably what I would do, is just go be by myself and not talk to anybody.
Yeah.
Like at all. I didn't used to be good at this, but in the last couple of years, especially with foster care and everything, I've gotten really good about making time for myself, which I think is something that not enough people do, especially busy parents or business owners. Every other Wednesday, I call it my Maggie morning, and I go and I get my eyelashes done, because I don't usually wear makeup. I put some on this morning just for you, but I don't usually wear makeup. I'm like high maintenance to be low maintenance. That's my life motto. Every other Wednesday, I get my eyelashes done. I get my nails done. I eat lunch by myself and I go to counseling. That's what I do every other Wednesday morning when Banner's in school, because that's my reset.
Yep.
And when I don't get to have that, that's when I'll freak out. I can handle everything else as long as I know that is coming and I'm going to get that time. And I don't talk to anybody really. Like the nail people know that I'm sitting there with my coffee. They'll say hey to me, but like, I just veg out and then I go take care of what I need to take care of up here and in here. And I eat lunch by myself, which I never get to do. I don't ever get to just eat a meal.
Yeah.
Even when, Scott is home or I do have help, like there's always somebody that needs something. I need more water, dirty diaper, whatever. Like, so I eat by myself and I recenter, and I am a much better wife, mom, friend, consultant, whatever you want to call it, for those mornings, because I get to do that for myself.
Yeah. I sat down with Ariel Huggins.
Yes, I love her.
And she said something that I think is going to stick with me for the rest of my life. And she said, it is important as women that we take periodic times of rest so that we are not spending our time in recovery.
Yep.
Because when you are trying to pull out of recovery, it is a heck of a lot harder to get back going as opposed to having times of periodic rest.
Mm-hmm.
And that, I love that you said you have your Maggie morning. I get up in the morning, I get my kids off to school, and I will sit. I'm hoping that I can stretch it before the snow comes, but I sit outside and I drink my warm drinks, and it's my time by myself.
Yeah.
Get my thoughts. What am I feeling? What are my thoughts? What's racing through my brain? And I will tell you, I've been doing this since I got home from Adie Mitchell's house in July, because she does that in the morning. Her and her husband sit outside and they spend an hour in the morning being intentional with their time, whether it's whatever. And we sat with them. And so we brought that home with us. And I will tell you, it has become one of the most important things in my life.
Yep.
In my life. I am so much better for everybody else when I've had my time.
Mm-hmm.
So you did say you love reading and you love books. If you were to write a book, what would it be about?
Well, everybody keeps asking me to write about our journey, about our family journey. And I will eventually. Like I said earlier, Banner was severely abused when he was a baby, and our bio mom was just indicted in July. So there will be, a long criminal case, trial, that whole thing. So I can't really do it till then. Yeah. But there will come a day where I will write it all out, because I do think that our story is important to be told, because so many kids never see justice for what happened to them. And I will die fighting for that for my kids. So eventually I'll write a book about that, probably. But yeah, I don't know what else I would write a book about.
If people wanted to follow your journey, because there are certain portions of it that you share, when you share, you are a stop my scroll, 100%. Anything that you post, I stop my scroll. whether it is your beautiful face on my screen or it is something that is heartfelt and sometimes difficult to read. Sometimes it fills your heart, but you are a Stop My Scroll. So if somebody wanted to follow you, where's your preference?
Probably Instagram, because I don't post everything publicly on my Facebook. I do have a lot of like important stuff that's public on my Facebook, but probably Instagram. My Instagram is public and it's just the.waxmama. That's my name on Instagram. So yeah, probably that. But I mean, Facebook is fine too.
Well, okay. Is there a question that you wish I would have asked you?
I don't think so. I don't know that I came in with a whole lot of expectations of what you were going to ask me. Yeah. I knew it would kind of be about our family story and about like my story as a consultant, but I don't think so.
That tends to be the hardest question of the interview.
Yeah.
Is there a question that you wish I would have asked? And I hope that it was, I mean, I did ask you ahead of time if it was okay to talk about your family. I think it's a huge part. It is the largest part of who you are. And I think it's the largest part of who you are today. And like you said, Scentsy has been the vessel. But I hope that it's okay that we talked about what we talked about, because I think you have such a voice of impact. And there's going to be people that listen to this that are going to relate to you in a million different ways, either as a foster parent or someone out of foster care or somebody that had, you know, that kind of relationship with their parents because of a teen pregnancy. I mean, you have an entire bowl of, here's where I've come from, here's where I am, and I'm okay. I'm better than okay.
Yeah.
So you have this opportunity to say anything that you want to take us out. The platform is yours. You can use it as a platform. You can say whatever it is that you want to say, but this time is yours.
Oh gosh. I guess I'll just kind of circle back to what I said earlier, in that there are a lot of things that are going to happen in our lives that are fully out of our control. A lot of things that we didn't choose when we were younger, that are not your fault and don't have to follow you around for the rest of your life. They don't have to determine everything about you. You can choose to take a different path at any point in your life. You can choose a different story. You can choose differently for your kids, for your marriage, for your home. And I hope that you will. I did, and it's made all the difference in the world for me as a person and for my children. But it's hard. I don't want anyone to ever look at my life and think that it's easy, because it's not. It's never been easy. I just decided that I didn't want to quit when it got hard. And it would have been really easy to quit and decide that I didn't want to do X, Y, or Z anymore. But nothing worth having is easy. You have to push through the hard, and it's going to be worth it every time. Climb the mountain. So
I appreciate you. Thank you for sharing you with us. Thank you for sitting down with me. I think you are the most beautiful, wonderful, amazing, strong woman. And I use strong as a very positive way to describe you.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Thank you.